Halo, cek. Selamat siang, Mr. Adi. Good afternoon, Mr. Adi. Is that my voice clear? Kenapa? Agak apa? Melayot how? Oke. Melayot teh apa? Di Doko ijo. Kenapa jadi ijo, Di? Mas Adi makan siangku dimakan aja, Mas Adi. Pak siapa? Oh gitu. Kemarin kan kita pesen 4 padahal. Sudah nggak apa-apa. Tadinya buat Mas Adi 2 gitu biar strong sama Mas Daris. Remote support tuh kayak gimana? How? Like, oh, I see. Mas Daris, nanti list pertanyaan yang mau ditanyain ditaruh di grup juga ya Mas Daris ya? Sama di kolom chat. Ada. Buat siapa? Apa? Lah nih. Oh gitu. Jadi ntar dia tinggal iniin apa ya sendiri gitu. Lah. Good afternoon, Dr. Nur Hazlina.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Hi, is that my voice clear over there?
Yes. Yeah, no, your voice is very clear.
Okay, thank you very much. So today I will be the moderator for this session. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleased to meet you too.
How are you today, Miss?
I'm good. I'm quite busy because I'm the coordinator for this KKLN program for UPNM. So I have to manage 3 sessions at a time.
I see, it's quite busy. And how's
Mm.
Malaysia condition over there?
Sorry?
How's Malaysia condition over there? Is there still rising number of
Yes.
cases of COVID-19?
As of yesterday, the number was 5,200 infection per day.
Still
So
quite.
that is quite high actually. Yes.
Yeah, actually, same in Indonesia too. The number of COVID-19 still rising. Is there any quarantine in Malaysia?
We are actually going through MCO, movement control order, or we call it PKP, pergerakan kawalan pandemic. So the means is very strict. So we cannot leave 10 kilometer radius from our home, and all the only the food store and all necessary shops are open. Even stationary shops is not open.
It's actually almost the same in Indonesia, but we called it PPKM Mikro. It's just like the.
You have different terms. Micro means what? Smaller?
Actually, it's the same actually with the other PPKM or the other or another what do you call it? Istilah like.
I think
Abbreviation is just the same actually. It's just we cannot move anywhere freely. We should wear mask, and yeah, we should work at home, stay at home, cannot go anywhere except is there any emergency?
Almost the same, eh?
Yeah, it's just different name, I guess.
Yeah, it's just a different term in different language.
Okay. So today we will start at 13:30 at Indonesian time, or maybe 14:30 in Malaysia. Am I correct?
Yes, 2:30 yes, in Malaysia.
Yeah, we will start in 15 minutes. Okay.
Okay, sure. I'll see you in 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Cek Jackson, apakah suaranya terdengar?
Terdengar sih.
Lancar ya?
Ya. Anda cakap bagus. Terdengar sini.
Ibu Nora belum masuk ya? Sorry. Belum ya?
Iya.
Yang ngubungin Bu Nora berarti siapa, Pak Denny?
Atau Mas Daris?
Atau Mas Daris?
Daris.
Pak Denny
Mas Daris.
Pak Denny ya? Diinformasikan aja.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mas Adi yang sekarang ada di Salemba berapa orang, Mas Adi? Riri. Oh, Pak Denny di situ enggak? Alright. Di ruang aset di kantor lantai 2. I lock myself. Supaya nggak ada gangguan. Oh my God, it wasn't like that. Because nanti tiba-tiba ada someone yang datang terus ketok-ketok, Mbak ini tolong ditandatangan, kan bingung. Ya sudah, biar kita kunci saja. Selamat siang Ibu Nora. Tes, cek sound. Ibu Nora, selamat siang.
Selamat siang.
Selamat siang Ibu, apa kabar?
Apa kabar, Rifang? Tambah cantik aja.
Makasih banyak Ibu. Ibu juga makin sehat ya. Walaupun sehat selalu ya Ibu.
Amin, amin. Alhamdulillah.
Posisi di Surabaya atau di Jakarta Ibu izin?
Ini di Surabaya.
Surabaya.
Di Surabaya saya. Ya.
Baik. Di Surabaya sama parahnya kayak di Jakarta ya Bu ya? Atau malah lebih baik?
Sama aja. Yang penting kita harus hati-hati ini. Ini saya kan juga repot juga. Kalau kita kan perlu skill. Jadi seharusnya memang offline ya. Tapi ya gimana? Situasi kayak gini ya nggak bisa. Ini sudah masuk belum dok?
Dokter Hazlina sudah masuk sudah?
Belum mulai ya?
Belum, sekitar 10 menit lagi.
Oke ya.
Oke, terima kasih banyak Ibu.
Sama-sama. Kemarin ujiannya susah nggak?
Ujian yang mata kuliah apa dulu?
Iya, yang dari saya.
Yang dari Ibu, manajemen logistik Ibu ya? Kalau
Iya.
Alhamdulillah sih Ibu bisa. Mungkin yang lain?
Lancar Ibu.
Alhamdulillah. Lancar.
Bagus. Nilainya bagus-bagus kok.
Alhamdulillah.
Ya. Ini pun juga saya nilai dari sini juga.
Wow.
Iya berhubungan juga Ibu ya dengan industri pertahanan.
Mas Adi. Aku perlu record juga nggak? Atau Mas Adi aja yang record? Oke, siap. Jadi aku nggak perlu record satu lagi ya. Terima kasih banyak, Mas Adi.
Good afternoon, all participants. May I have your attention? We are about to begin our agenda today. So please find a perfect seat, turn on your camera, and make yourself comfortable. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Best wishes for all of us. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, Salam Bela Negara. The Honorable, the Dean of the Faculty Defense Management, Republik Indonesia Defense University, Rear Admiral Dr. Kasih Prihantoro. The Honorable, the Dean of Defense Study and Management Faculty of National Defense University of Malaysia, Lieutenant Colonel Professor Madya Arifin bin Ismail. The Honorable Vice Dean of the Faculty Defense Management, Republik Indonesia Defense University, Air Force Marshal Anton Iman Santosa. Honorable Speakers and Moderator from National Defense University of Malaysia and Republik Indonesia Defense University. Honorable Lecturer, Staff, Student of Defense Management Study Program, Republik Indonesia Defense University and Malaysia National Defense University, and all participants. First of all, let us invoke our praise and gratitude to Mighty because His blessing we can gather together this afternoon in the Overseas Study Faculty of Defense Management, Republik Indonesia Defense University under the theme Management of National Resources for Defense and Security. The topic for this opportunity is Human Security, Socio-Economy, Diversity in Addressing Market and State Failures. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. We appreciate the time that we spent for today, and I wish the success for the session of Overseas Study with you online. To begin the session, we would like to inform our agenda today. First, opening by MC. Second, presentation and Q&A guided by a moderator. Third, hand over the certificate. Fourth, photo session. And the last, closing. The honorable participant, let us proceed to our main agenda. The second presentation session, Dr. Nur Hazlina Fairuz Musakuti. And for our first session, will be guided by a moderator, Ms. Rifa Mutiara Bako. Please welcome Dr. Nur Hazlina Fairuz Musakuti and Ms. Rifa Mutiara Bako. Before we begin, we would like to read the curriculum vitae of today's moderator. Defense University, majoring in Defense Management. She is active in education field. Her current professional is a biology teacher at State Prominent High School MH Tamrin, Jakarta. She was also active in organizational activities and also attended several seminars and workshops. She has a lot of achievement with academic, art, and social culture, such as she is tourism ambassador at East Jakarta and she holds silver and bronze medal in National Biology Olympiad. Let us move to our next session. The moderator, the screen is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Yesi, for being the Master of Ceremony today. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. But before we begin our session, actually I have a pantun special for today. Yeah, we can speak Malay. Actually, I could speak a little Malay. Okay, so I have a pantun today. Cantik nian Pulau Sikuai, pasirnya putih teramat indah. Sebelum materi ini kumulai, marilah serentak kita mengucap basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, good afternoon, our honorable speaker, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in the Overseas Study of Faculty of Defense Management, Indonesia Defense University. The Honorable, the Dean of Defense Management Faculty, Republik Indonesia Defense University, Rear Admiral Dr. Kasih Prihantoro, Dean of Defense Studies and Management Faculty, National Defense University of Malaysia, Lieutenant Colonel Professor Madya Arifin bin Ismail, Vice Dean of Defense Management Faculty, Republik Indonesia Defense University, Air Force Marshal Anton Iman Santosa, Secretary of Defense Management Department, Republik Indonesia Defense University, Kolonel Laut Teknik Dr. Insinyur Ari Sarjito ST, MAP IPU CIQAR, lecturers and staff of Defense Management Program, also of all of the students from Republik Indonesia Defense University and National Defense University of Malaysia. Good afternoon, Honorable Speaker, Dr. Hazlina Fairuz Musakuti, and all of the lecturers and students of Defense Management faculty. First of all, I would like to give my big gratitude to Dr. Nur Hazlina for sparing her time to give lectures and piece of knowledge for all of us here from Monday till today, actually. Yeah. Dr. Nur Hazlina, it's been 4 days. And I would like to say thank you for all of the participants that joined this forum. So the topic that the speaker will deliver today is about human security, socioeconomics, diversity, and addressing market and state failure under the theme of management of national resources for defense and security. Before we move further, I would like to read our speaker's curriculum vitae for today. So, Dr. Nur Hazlina Fairuz Musakuti is actually a senior lecturer in National Defense University of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. Dr. Nur Hazlina was born on 5th of December 1978 in Raub Pahang. Her early education was in primary and secondary education in Raub Pahang also. She attended degree in social sciences, majoring in international relations major and human resource development as minor in University Malaysia Sarawak or Unimas in Kota Samarahan, Sarawak. After pursuing her Masters of Social Science in Analysis of Strategic and Security Studies in National University of Malaysia or UKM from 2004 until 2006, she joined Unimas as lecturer from 2006 until 2008. In December 2008, she finally accepted an offer in National Defense University of Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur and has been with the institution till today. So Dr. Nur Hazlina also obtained her PhD degree from the University of New South Wales, Kensington, Sydney, Australia in 2017, and she was under GPA scholarship sponsor. And her PhD research is on post-disaster reconstruction in Tsunami Aceh and the role of NGOs in participation and capacity building in developmental phase. She conducted field work in Jakarta and province of Aceh by residing in Indonesia for 6 months. Oh, it's quite long, for about 6 months to complete her data collection. So I would like to say hello first to our speaker today. Good afternoon, Dr. Nur Hazlina.
Good afternoon. Hello.
So actually, Doctor, for today's session, we will divide it into 2 parts. First is the lecture from Dr. Hazlina, and we will follow it by question and answer session. Now, let us begin. For our first session to the event, and Dr. Hazlina, you have 60 minutes in the session. You may have the floor.
Right, thank you. I think I'll share the screen first. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we could see it clearly.
Yes, doctor. We can see your slide.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Selamat siang. Thank you for the lengthy introduction by the operator. I'm Dr. Nur Hazlina. I think you have seen me for a couple of days now. Okay, I'm the coordinator for this program on the behalf of UPNM and also speaker at the same time. So yeah. As of today, I have to handle 3 sessions. Okay, all right, and concurrently. All right, sure. So for today, basically we'll be looking at human security. Okay, the topic was given to me on socio-economic diversity in addressing market and state failure. So it's a perfect topic actually to be discussed at the time being. Okay, since we are having COVID-19 and the effect is very much on actually on economics. And let me first introduce to you what is the lecture framework for today. Okay, so basically a slight introduction, and then to look at the conceptualization of human security and its understanding in Malaysia. Okay, different countries have different human security definition. Yeah? Okay, and then differing interpretation and understanding from the population itself. Okay, what is their perspective? What is their thought on human security in Malaysia? And then going to the substance of the discussion, which is the impact of COVID-19 on the economic itself, and then how do we look at these policies that we have taken into overcome this problem, and finally conclusion, and we have some questions we can actually ponder after the presentation. Okay, so human security. What is human security? Okay, actually human security is my baby. My thesis in my PhD thesis was supposed to be on human security in Aceh. Okay, but I had since I have collected 6 months of data in Aceh, I have 60 respondents. It's a qualitative research. So yes, so they said no, take off that human security, you don't need that. Okay, so I have done a lot of readings, bibliography on human security. Okay, so I can just tell you the story of human security without even looking at anything. Okay, all right. So human security, basically, in a very short form, freedom from fear and freedom from want. So basically, the population is just focused on the individual, the population. So they should not have any fear. Like you should not have any fear for your life. You should not have any fear to want something. This is what human security means. It's very deep actually. Yeah? So human security actually divided into 7 elements of human security. Okay, so basically it's a very contested and very weak concept. Okay, and very much contested, because anything that causes insecurity to human can be human security. So that's the main question here. So there are 2 main schools in human security, especially in the critical security studies. Okay, so one is Barry Buzan. Barry Buzan is the Bible of strategic or security studies. So his book, People, State and Fear. Okay, it's the Bible for us in strategic studies. Okay, so this scholar actually focus more on the state security, whereby he means that human security should be under the state's umbrella. Okay, so everything to do with human security should come under the control of state. Whereby he means that the state has a strong state, has more control. And on the other hand, we have Ken Wood, okay, who actually focus on empowerment. I like CSS. There is 2 schools. CSS big is more on national security, and the other one more on empowerment, emancipation. Okay, so yes, Ken Wood is a very famous professor. Okay, so yes, he believes that the empowerment of the people will actually create the resilience or the national security. So when you look after the population will actually create what we call as a strong state or resilient. Okay, so the argument is, which one do you think comes first? Okay, all right, I'm already giving you a question before you ask me questions. Okay, right. Okay, so the conceptualization of human security and its understanding in Malaysia. Okay, so this term was coined in 1994 by UNDP by the late Mahbub Al-Haq. Okay, so basically is to understand security much deeper, because if you look at the world today, the threat is more on the non-traditional security. So the focus of the threat is actually inclining toward non-traditional. Yes, there is a military threat, okay, but it's not that prominent. Okay, so I do not have to give you an example. COVID-19 is very good example of it. Non-traditional contagious disease pandemic is considered as non-traditional security. So the report underlines 7 areas: focus on food, personal security, community, health, political, economic, and environmental. So these are the main area of human security that have been contested, highly contested. What if everything means insecure to human? what is left? So this is why I said human security is a very weak concept. Okay, so there is a few refinement to this concept. Okay, Canada and Norway. Okay, they are among countries in the world that actually took adapt this concept into their national security concepts. So narrow version of freedom from fear, and also introducing R2P, responsibility to protect. Okay, so this responsibility to protect actually is a continuation of humanitarian intervention, and there is a lot of politics in humanitarian intervention in the international world, so they start emphasizing more responsibility on the state by adapting this term, responsibility to protect. So on the other hand, Japan promoted a broader understanding of terms by placing equal, not greater emphasis freedom from one. Freedom from one means human development, economic development, and so on. Okay, and if you ask me between these two, I like more Japan, because for Malaysia we are more like Japan because we focus on the development, we focus on the economic sustainability. Yes, that matters to us. Okay, all right. So the socio-economic part has been playing a very important role, okay, in addressing the COVID-19 crisis that we're having today. Okay, so especially when you are looking at the how we're going to generate the socio-economic to actually assist the recovery from the crisis. Okay, and how to strengthen the public services and also to complement the government action. Okay, there's a lot of questions when it comes to Malaysian government itself. Because when COVID-19 hit us last year, we were, our previous seventh Prime Minister, Tun Mahathir Mohamad, Honorable Tun Mahathir Mohamad, actually stepped down. And then that has created a big gap there. And all of a sudden, the COVID was there and the new government was developed, was formed without any election. So in Malaysia, even until today, the argument is that we are living under the backdoor government. Okay, kerajaan pintu belakang. Maksudnya tak guna pintu depan maksudnya you ada election, ada voting kan, system, okay, all clear. But this one tak. Okay, but I must also must compliment our current Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin. He's a great man. Okay, he left everything to Allah. Okay, so for him, he was just there at the right time to actually take over the country, and then he's just doing his best. Okay, so I'll show you how much he has done, what kind of policy he came up with, okay, to actually balance between the social, economic, and also the human security side. Okay, all right. So, human security, okay. If you wanted to know more on human security, you should be reading more on Commission on Human Security. Okay, this was set up by Japan Initiative. So there is a newsletter every week. Okay, if you are registered to this Commission of Human Security, they will be sending you update weekly activity on their programs. Okay, I'm actually subscribed to this. Okay, develop this human security concept as opportunity for policy implementation. How do we actually adapt the 7 elements of human security into policy implementation? Okay, so incorporating 2 approaches, top down and also bottom up. So what we mean by top down here is that you come up with the policy and you apply the policy. Okay, on the other hand, bottom up means you actually get the information. It's like doing a fieldwork study. You get the information first, you get the data first, and then you create the theory or you create the policy. Okay, let's say you do a voting system. You get the results and then you create the government. So that is a bottom-up way of doing things. So these are the 2 ways of doing it. Okay, so the incorporation of freedom from one issues and demand extension allow a wider role or range of concerns such as communicable disease, stages, environmental degradation, and also defined as a threat and also scrutinized. Okay? So these are the 3 things that actually being placed under the freedom from one. Okay. And actually, when I prepared this slide, I do not want to go into this human security fact, but however, it actually comes to a 10 page of slides. Okay, 10 slides. Okay, all right. So when you actually incorporate this alright, you will be able to actually human development issues. Okay, so human security is about development. For me, I think some of our lecturers during this KKLN has mentioned case one, okay, security and development. Yes, you cannot actually split these two. They come together. Okay, so in Malaysia, case one has been in place since the insurgency against the communism. Okay, so we started a very long time ago. So the program actually being renewed and renewed, we have more program coming in. Okay, so when the state actually address them as human development, then it will be easier way. And then there's also issues of expanding it to a non-traditional security. So the question is whether you wanted to actually absorb this as part, because if you are a country and you're absorbing this, okay, you need to change everything. Your your domestic and also your foreign policy be guided by this. Okay, so that's a big conflict for certain states, especially developing states like Malaysia, like Indonesia. We have a very strong government, strong control. We call it the strong state, whereby the government has strong control over the population. Weak state means it's not weak in the sense of they are not bukan lemah, tapi the population have higher or bigger voices against the government. So the government do what the people decide. These are the two types of government, big and strong state. Okay. All right. The NTS is often interchangeably with human security, but it's not the same. You don't confuse yourself because NTS is NTS. Human security focus on human. NTS is more of a type of threat that actually emerging after the end of Cold War. Okay. All right. So the involvement of non-state actors, yes, in decision-making process and need to empower them as a central to tenet human security. So when you talk about human security, you cannot, you have to include the non-governmental actors, NGOs, MNCs, TNCs, all this, okay? They have to be involved, okay? Because if you look at the traditional threat, if it's just a military war, okay, you can focus on the you don't have to include them. The state actually can make decision. But looking at development, you need non-state actor to actually bring in. Okay, for example, Samsung's factory is built in, Apple factory is built in China, right? So now you get Apple product made in China. See, this is human development. This is economic. Okay, so we are going to this extent actually. Yeah? So you cannot say that the non-state actor is not important. When you talk about development, when you talk about human development, yes, you have to count them in. Okay, all right. So coming to Malaysia again, all right. In Malaysia, how does we actually interpret and how is it different? Okay, so in Malaysia, official definition of security has been based on comprehensive ataupun kita panggil HANRUF, keselamatan menyeluruh. Okay. So, according to Amitav Acharya, this is a very famous scholar, very famous scholar on NTS. Okay, you can just type his name, you'll get all kind of articles and books. Okay, all right. Consider the term as a framework for coping with danger of insurgency, starvation, and political unrest. Okay, so this is how he defined comprehensive security. So actually, it gives different, because as I said, security is defined by threat. So if Malaysia said my model of HANRUF or my model of comprehensive security is this, is up to the country to define it. All the countries in the world can define their security, their model as they please, because they have their own history, their own culture, their whole entity, and they are all different from one another. Okay, it's up to you how to define them. Human rights, democracy, you define yourself. Nobody can tell you, okay, this is the best practice of democracy. No, and this is I'll always tell you why things are not actually looking so good in Afghanistan, in Iraq, yes, in Syria, yes. This is the reason, because you forget that not everybody can wear the same size shirt. Kita ada shirt lain-lain kan, M, S, large dan sebagainya kan, yes. There is no one size for everybody. Okay, so sama juga dengan security. Itu tak sama. You have to go back to your threat. What is the imminent threat for Indonesia? What is the imminent threat for Malaysia? They are all different. Okay, So this is just a scholar's idea. A scholar can come up and whatever they want to say. Okay. So with the attainment of the performance legitimacy through economic development, whereby here performance legitimacy actually refer to the safety or the security of the regime. Which one do come first? Okay, but sometimes, okay, for developing countries, it's important to have this performance legitimacy, means whereby the government actually exercising legitimacy clearly. Okay, there are two types of state, as I said, weak and strong earlier. Okay, they are all different. Okay, most developed country, they are weak state because they use this socialist or liberalist kind of model, whereby state actually become a welfare state. Okay, you just mediate between individual and market. You have no control on the population. No, but the country that actually use a realist model, like most of us, like in developing countries, okay, you will have stronger control upon your population. Population will do what you ask them to do. This is what you call as top bottom. You ask them to do what you want. Okay, so here I can say the national security will come first against the human security. In a model like liberal state, okay, the people or the human security will come first because they decide who stay in the office. So the cabinet politics, the government politics doesn't work. Okay, in the liberal state, liberal model. So in realist model, they are different. Okay, all right. So the term security, yes, it's a very broad manner. Okay, it can actually encompass both military and military element. I'll explain to you later. Okay, comprehensive security covers political, economic, and defense dimension. Okay, this is what we have in Malaysia. So to achieve security, it has to be comprehensive. So means this is why we came up with the comprehensive hand movement. Okay, all right. So it has to be politically stable, economically strong and resilient. Its population united, strong-willed. Last but not the least, it has to be militarily sufficient. So it's actually very balanced concept. Comprehensive security. Yeah? This is for Malaysia definition. Okay, you might find different definition for different country. Yeah? Okay, all right. So this is actually from our previous Najib Tun Razak. This is our previous Prime Minister. Okay, so he says comprehensive security in formal terms does be about national resilience, military and non-military, means to empower and secure the state. Role of society and individual citizen of Malaysia is to maintain an overall security of the country. So whereby here it means the state security come first. So the expansion towards NTS, okay, this is NTS. This is why they say it's not the same as human security because it covers more vast various areas. Illicit drugs, all the TOCs, transnational organized crime, poverty, economic disparity, disaster, all here. Okay, for now, it's a bit overlapping, right? It's a gray area and that is overlapping because this podcast ini pandemic nampak. So we cannot decide is it human security now or is it NTS? So dua benda yang berbeza sebenarnya tapi ada overlapping. Okay. So the compatibility of NTS and Malaysia Comprehensive Security explains Kuala Lumpur role in promoting NTS at ASEAN level, referencing it as the species of United Nations by Dato' Anif. Okay. So the government is yet to adopt human security approach in its domestic or foreign policy. So Malaysia belum lagi, kita belum adopt 100% human security. Okay. Mostly negara yang adopt human security ni as part of domestic and foreign policy would be fully developed country. They have the capacity to do that. But developing country, okay, because the government must have some control over the economy, the stakeholders, the interest group, the media, and so on. Okay. So Kuala Lumpur position under the human security of R2P has been spelled out by Malaysia's permanent representative to United Nations, Hussein Hanif, in the 16th session of United Nations General Assembly in 2012. He said that human security should not replace state security. We agree that government should retain the primary responsibility for ensuring the survival, livelihood, and the dignity of the people and population. So Malaysia also believes that human security must be based on local realities, okay? Political, economic, social, cultural condition, very significantly between one country to the next. Yes, very true actually. We are very different from one another. And national ownership is the utmost importance in the advancement of human security to the people and the country. So, looking back to Malaysia, we are multiracial. We are made of three big components. Okay, the reason before we were granted independent, the condition that was given to the formation of Malaysia by the British was to actually form a national front, Barisan Nasional though. Okay, with these three components: MCA, MIC, and UMNO represent the Malay, MIC represent the Chinese and the Indian, MCA represent the Chinese, and then the British actually gave us the independence. Okay, so it actually has to the very foundation of the country. We have to go back to all this before you wanted to adopt any kind of security. So the human security of the people is important, but also at the same time you have to look at the development of the country, how the country has evolved from independent, what kind of economy and so on. All right, so Malaysian on national development experience actually it can actually taken into account. Okay, where we focus more on economic and social development with the welfare of people consistently at the forefront of the policy condition. Yes, okay. We have been actually doing a lot for the people, and we actually toward developing, not to say 100% developed, no, I must say 60-70% toward that. Okay, we start doing welfare, giving back to the people. Okay, and we must understand a lot of developed countries actually welfare state because they get they charge high tax to the population. The population pay big taxes. I think in Indonesia also the taxes is high, right? Okay, so yes, in Malaysia we had 6% of GST, which actually is a hard time for us. And eventually when the new government came, they actually took it down. But during that time, I think about 2 years time, of that implementation of GST, we start seeing free buses. We start seeing a lot of welfare state kind of program being implemented. Yes. So okay, but yes, the people is the focus, but it's the matter of balancing it. Okay, all right. The heart of those policies is to actually distribute benefit of economic growth, okay, equally, okay, in order to become potential to any dangerous national rift. So the problem in Malaysia is that we are formed by three main races. So the politics of this country has been based on these racial lines. So we have no choice to make sure any policies that become must actually, even NEP, I'll give you one good example. That's economy baru ataupun new economic policy is the main theme of this policy is to equal distribution of wealth among all the races. Kena pastikan semua orang dapat portion yang sama. And I think Malaysians are very lucky. Okay, I don't think in Indonesia or Thailand we have this. We can actually celebrate. We have holidays for all the races. Okay, Deepavali cuti, Chinese New Year cuti, Hari Raya cuti, semua cuti. Okay, and then we even have schools, Tamil schools, Chinese schools. We are not saying primary, but also secondary, private school even. Okay, so we given this kind of freedom in Malaysia. So we based on that. Okay, the country was formed because of these three races, and we do not want to create any rift in that. Okay, so in coalition, so we should advocate on comprehensive approach until I think we reach that whatever we call as developed country, and maybe then we can actually consider human security as a full-fledged like Canada or Japan. So these are this is the statement by Dato' Hanif. So he was actually mentioning we also consider disparities in economic opportunities, infectious disease, illegal migration, environment degradation, illicit drug production. All these are actually NTS. Okay, all right. So security ultimately come here again. Amartya Sen. This is another scholar, very famous. I have his book. Very famous in looking at how development actually lead toward security. Okay, so as speaking of security, it has to be human for him. Okay, and also means security from external threat and violence. We call national security because one of the constituent factors in human security. Okay, so comprehensive security focuses on the survivability of the state and the role of the citizen as defender of the national interest, and the human security emphasizes on the value of human life with state security as only but one of the components. So this is the difference. Okay. So before we go that, let me take want to be another long story here. Okay. All right. So the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 in Malaysia. Okay. So how does the policy review or what we have been doing? So basically what the government has been doing to the day is actually to make sure the economic is actually generating. The people has the power to buy, because when people has the power to buy, then only the economy will actually work. Without the people having, because during the COVID-19, the government came up with MCO, movement control order. Okay, and we have many many phases, MCO and all that. Okay, PKPB, and all that, and continues. Okay, so now we are again back to PKP for 4 weeks now. We should end on Monday, next Monday. Hopefully, it will continue another 2 weeks because the number in Malaysia is 5,200 cases per day. Yes, it shall continue until Raya Haji, Hari Raya Haji. Okay, so coming back here, okay, when the government actually tried to impose this MCO, okay, the effect is on the economic side. So the factories is closed, no workers are allowed to go to the workplace and all that, and especially those people under self-employment is the most affected. Okay, so they actually cannot, the business is not running, everything is stopped. Okay, I'm not talking at the level of only self-employment. Even factories, private sectors are affected. Okay, as soon as the MCO was in place in March 18, 2020, by April 2020, there's a lot of unemployment already. So we cannot sustain it. So the economy is very, very important here. So it has in Malaysia, it has evolved as the world health, socio-economic, and humanitarian crisis. Okay, and an unprecedented scale and impact. So in Malaysia, the government only this is the backdoor government. But then I have nothing against it. For me, if the government works, if the government look after the people, they are fine. So now the issue in Malaysia is that they wanted an election. We cannot go for election with 5,000 cases a day. No way. I said to my friend, my husband, I said, they can come to my house and collect my vote, but I'm not going anywhere to give my vote. I'm staying home. This is our rights, okay? This is a very, what we call the what? Invisible enemy. You don't know where is it, right? So you cannot actually take a risk like that. No way. So they can dream of having an election, okay? But the people will actually buy into it, because Hari Raya Haji is coming. It's been 6 weeks, no movement. Everybody will be like, oh, dah buka border, semua boleh balik kampung. Yes, they will be going balik kampung to vote. You believe me? That will happen. And this is my prediction. I'm an Arab scholar, so I predict things politically. So yes, that will happen. Orang strategi memang macam ni. Dia akan predict. Dia tahu next akan menjadi apa. Okay, alright. So with this. And when the government came into power, okay, in March 2020, okay, we are already in, it's normal. Okay, heavy debt is not a problem actually. Developing country will have, even developed country has debt, big debt, because debt means developing. Okay, you take debt, you invest, and you pay the debt. So this is just like what is happening in a micro household. You go to work, you buy a house, you buy a car, you pay the debt. It's the same psychology. Sama je. Okay? Kita kerja, kita bayar hutang, and then kita improve kita punya lifestyle, kita improve kita punya socio-economic level. Betul tak? Sama je. Macro level, state pun sama. Okay, so it's not a problem. So Malaysia had an issue. I remember during Tun Mahathir, when Tun Mahathir came in power, it was 2018. May 2018, there was an issue saying, oh, the national debt was high. Okay, and then I was asking my student, national debt tu you tengok tak sources daripada mana? I said, did you see the sources? Did you see the different category of the debt? Is it external debt or is it internal debt? If it's the bond government give to the people, like housing loan, car loans, and whatever investment loan, no, that is not that. That is what you owe outside there from this country. Okay, a country is in a trouble. You remember this. In a country is in a trouble when the external debt is more than 60% of the GDP of the country. If a country is paying the debt and taking more than 60% of the GDP, yes, that country is in trouble. If it doesn't go to that stage, you are safe. It's normal to have that. Okay, so yes, Malaysia is also a developing country. Yes, we are on that route as well. So the government actually has been receiving a lot of international recognition and actually like from ILO, IMF, they'll be coming to us and telling us what we should do and all that. And as you know, Malaysia, Indonesia, everybody had 1998 crisis. Remember? The financial crisis. I think maybe you were very young then. I don't know. Okay, I'm quite old, so I was there. I was doing my degree then. Okay, so yes, actually it hit down the Southeast Asian country, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, but Malaysia refused to take IMF because we know once you actually receive this pinjaman or debt from IMF, you have to restructure your banking. Your interest rate will go up. Everything will be restructured for you to be able to pay the debt back. So people will be paying a lot of interest. Okay. So Malaysia say no. Tun Mahathir said we pack our RM4 saja. Tak boleh lebih, tak boleh turun, tak boleh naik. Okay, that's he's a very wise man. You have to know the reason why Japanese say if you don't want Tun Mahathir, you give it to us. We want him. He's a very wise man, a very grand strategy for this country. Okay, so even this time, yes, we do not we do not go to that kind of position, but actually we have Japanese government and so on actually can actually offer us loans with a very, very low interest, almost no interest. Okay, so why must we actually go for IMF and so on? Because it will have impact on the people. So this is how actually the human security things comes in. We decide things and we will be looking at our people. GST 2 years is hell for the people, so we chunk it off. We don't want GST. It's all right. We can live, as long as we don't have to pay the tax. And because when you say GST 6%, even the poor, even the under the poverty level, people will be paying that 6%. It's no game, right? All right. So let me just show you what we've been doing. Okay, this is the projection. Okay, for 2020. So I'm just showing you this just to make you understand what we've been doing. Okay, so the best case scenario is here, and the worst case scenario is here. Okay, this is just for your information. I'm not going to go into this. So you can actually see the best case scenario, 41 billion loss on the household income, and here is 95 billion ringgit. Okay, and let me just show you. Here, so the GDP, best case is here, and the worst case is here for Malaysia. This is the prediction by the expert economists in Malaysia. All right. And as of 2020 April, so GDP was this. Okay, the economic full rebound of economic activities because when the COVID started in March, the moratorium, the Bantuan Prihatin Nasional all started immediately. There is no gap. So the people buying power was still in place. We wanted to make sure the people can stay home and then we can actually. The thing is, the beautiful part is that last August 2020, the number was on single digit infection, single digit. Tu yang saya marah tu. Okay, they come, this is the politician, politics. Buat election kat Sabah, Semua pergi dari sini untuk election di Sabah, balik sini bawa balik pandemik. So, yes. Since August last year until today, we have this issue, the third floor, the third wave. Okay, is actually unstoppable now with the new variant. Okay, I'll go to that later. Okay, so these are basically the real GDP. Okay, and yes, this is we already take into the stimulus. We call it prihatin package. Okay. So what is prihatin stimulus package and why we do this? Okay, basically to look after the people, to look after our Malaysian. Okay, so the first stimulus package was 20 billion ringgit. Okay, and was announced by the previous government on 27th of February 2020, and the 1 month later, 27th March, the new government announced prihatin package. Okay, and then that consists of even bigger. Tuan Mahdi ni dia jimat cermat orang ni. Okay, he's a 90 years old man. He has lived through the Japanese occupation and so on. Okay, but the new government, no, they spend a lot. Okay, and then the prihatin stimulus package actually continued values of 250 billion ringgit. Okay, expected to add about 2.8% of the GDP growth. So this is how we work. We give the people the power to buy, to continue their life, and then to actually bring it back, contribute back to our GDP. Okay, and then all right. So on April 2020, the Prime Minister announced the additional another one, tambah lagi. Okay, this is to actually support the SMEs. The first round was to support the general population. We have E20, M40, B40. Kita ada class to get how much money. Not everybody get the same. So the closer you to the poverty level, the lowest income will get more. Okay, so the 10 billion ringgit SME package was estimated to potentially increase the country's fiscal deficit to minus 4.7% of GDP. Okay, so firstly, it's important to note that only about 35 million ringgit, 10% of the first package will come from direct fiscal injection. Okay, so the big chunk of the loan moratorium, okay, the bank actually didn't lose anything. They still make a lot of money, okay, despite the moratorium, because it's just being extended. We are paying the same thing again, okay, once the moratorium. And so in Malaysia, the moratorium actually started in March for 6 months. And then from March 6 months, it's been extended another, no. In September, October, November, December, we paid the loan as usual. Come back to normal because the number was single digit then. But in the between of paying that, we were hit by the third wave in August. That was the big struggle for us. And then in January again, the moratorium was started again by the bank. So they give us another 6 months. Sampai this June, yes. June should end the first moratorium. So since the government came up with MCO, sampai hujung June, the bank is actually starting to actually give another 2 or 3 months lagi 3 bulan lagi. Okay, so yes, it's a big loss, tapi to ensure the people's welfare. Okay, this is what our government do. Okay, so EPF, we were actually allowed to actually remove from your provident fund. Okay, 40 billion. Okay, or 16%, and then there are a lot of issues actually. Okay, we discuss, for example, like EPF. Okay, the flow in the prevention withdrawal from EPF has been pointed out. Okay, so I-Lestari. Okay, I-Lestari is actually a program for those who actually have EPF. Not everybody has EPF. Because if you're a government servant in Malaysia, you ada pension. So EPF tak ada. EPF mungkin ada before you sampai pension. Sampai pension umur berapa? Confirm dalam jawatan kerajaan 3 tahun. 3 tahun ada EPF, itulah you punya saving. And then after that, you dah start scheme pension. Pension means after you pension at 60 or 55 years old, you will get 50% or 60% from your gaji. Pension. In Malaysia, kita sistem pension, especially for the public servant. Okay, so looking at this, they were listari. Okay, so you can actually withdraw the portion up to account 2, ada account 1, account 2, account 1 tak boleh bersih, account 2 saja. Okay, account 2 is your contribution, account 1 is majikan punya contribution. So, RM500 per 12 months was first 6 months and then extended to 12 months. So, actually, the contributor, this is like EPF is actually saving for the country. It's like a saving you save and then the government give you dividend and interest at the end of the year. So it's like when you actually try to withdraw, everybody withdraw, it's actually, the fund is actually depleting. So they ada kesan lah. Okay. So the first concern, the third or major concern of IDSRE is limited only to registered. Those who not work has other issue. Okay. So when the government said this, they came up with, for the ladies, they came up with Aisuri. IDSRE, Aisuri. Aisuri pula, the wife will get from the husbands. And the government will actually also give their portion as Aisuri. Okay, another program by the government. Okay, so Bantuan Prihatin Nasional, the big portion, the biggest expenditure for Malaysia. Okay, first was 10 billion and then it has accumulated more than almost 300 billion now. Okay, so this is the, yes, this is the category. How much you get? Okay, even student gets money there. Okay, even until today masih ada lagi. Okay, so sekarang ni BPN dah sampai ke stage, let's say 4.0. Okay, alright, so yes. And also, SOCSO, those who actually have SOCSO means is simpanan untuk pekerja, okay, pekerja swasta, okay, SOCSO. So they can actually take out some money from here as well, okay. And then yes, this is the economic part of it. Okay, so and then all right. There was the issue, okay, part of cash payment will be dispersed by May. What happens then? You bagi duit, okay, sampai 6 bulan, sampai 3 bulan, lepas tu jadi apa? If the number doesn't go down, the people cannot, you are implementing MCO like now, you will be more trouble. Means you have to come up with more fund. You kena bagi lagi duit. How long? It's been 1 year now for Malaysia. 1 year? How many months? 1 year, 3 months now. This thing been going on. We've been pumping in money for the public. How are we going to survive? And also, hopefully, the vaccination will help us out there. Okay. So the issues was raised up is how long we can actually sustain this. Okay. Right. All right. Yes, caring for the people package. Yes. Okay, it's good. Okay, to announce to the people. But there was some mechanism, okay, they came up later. So this is a learning process for Malaysia. We start with the public and then we go to SME and then we go to these workers, taxis, everyone. We try to, the government tried to cover all sort of employment, semua, kebanyakan dapat. Okay, all right. This is the issue raises. Okay, what about equity and fairness? And then they were bias against self-employed. Okay, and they came up with another one, which is the detention program, employment insurance system, wage subsidy program. Okay, so under this, okay, those company, okay, that actually have certain amount of employees will be paid by the government. The government will actually pay this owner. Yes. Okay. Malaysia went to that extent to actually make to sustain, to ensure the socio-economic cycle is actually working. Right. And then for the self-employment, who do not have they are actually having own account, tak ada majikan, so they only get one-off payment from BPN or BSH. So the issue here is that, okay, for improvement, they suggest that rather than giving BPN for everybody, you should be focusing on BSH. BSH is a program that actually existed before COVID. Malaysia memang ada. Okay. So certain kumpulan B40, okay, akan dapat BSH. So now they are saying that we should have focused on giving the B40 BSH rather than BPN, because BPN dah sampai ke 250,000 billion. 50 billion. Okay. Alright. So yes, this is a learning process for Malaysia. Okay. So yes, employment retention program by SOCSO. Yes, employment insurance system. All this came out. Alright. Okay. Alright. Subsidy wage program. Okay, as aim at employers with declining revenues during MCO. Okay, this is for the owners of companies. So the subsidy is paid to employer for each employee earning below 4,000 a month for 3 months beginning 1st April. Okay. And the subsidy amount for worker ranges from 600 to 1,200. I think it's 1,200 untuk satu pekerja. Okay, for 3 months. Okay, alright. So yes, the first round of Prihatin or the SME stimulus package was needed, right? But the SME account for almost 99% of the enterprise in the country, micro enterprises making up 3/4 of the enterprises. So all this were needed. So the predominant micro enterprise with less 5 employees or less than 300 ringgit less turnover per annum would clearly need to be taken into account in the measure of intending support enterprises. So the dilemma is that MCO, a stay-at-home order, the stimulus measure cannot sustain economic activities if they cannot resume operations. So the issue here in Malaysia is that besides the economic or the debt burden on the government giving Prihatin stimulus package, is also the economic somehow have to move. The factory has to start to work. The buying power has to come in. Everything has to go back to normal. That's the issue. So the government went in with the vaccination. So I think starting from 2 days ago, we have another round of vaccination program that should be vaccinating another 30 or 40% of the population. We already done about 30% now, and then we are going another 40. Okay, and hopefully, yes, they have planned, because if we can actually bring down the number by August, there will be another election. tak nak election. Okay, I don't want election. The current government is fine. We don't need another election. We do not want another COVID-19 wave to come. Okay, so yes, we are reaching about, I think by August we should be about 70 to 80% vaccination done. Okay, all right. So the government has said that the economy is losing. Okay, each day. Right, this is what we are facing. Not only big country, small country pun kena. Employees are pointed out that wage subsidy and other measures as programmed to allow them to postpone, restructures, reschedule their mandatory EPF payment for the employees, and also the Human Resource Development Fund (HRDF) to defer income tax payment will be not adequate if the MCO is protected. See, they want the MCO to stop. But we have no choice. If you have 5,000 cases a day, how can you not do MCO, right? Tak boleh. Kena buat juga. Okay, sebenarnya the decision for Malaysia to do MCO on 1st June tu is a very difficult decision for the government. Sangat-sangat. Because they've been debating in and out. The whole May tu cerita dia in and out. Nak buat MCO ke tak nak buat ke tak nak buat. Eventually, when they say the number keep raising, sampai masuk 9,000 satu hari, we got no choice. Okay, now we managed to bring it daripada 8,000 dah jadi 5,000, tapi daripada 5,000 tu tak turun. Okay, so now we have to look back. Okay, alright. So the Ministry of MITI actually in Malaysia actually grant. Boleh buka kilang ke, boleh business ke, boleh pergi kerja ke? Yes, MITI give you the license. So they also are in a dilemma. Okay, but to listen to Ministry of Health or National Council (NKM) or to actually give more consideration. Okay, all right. So it is very important for the value chain and the export activity of the country, and the sustainability of the SME. Okay, At the same time, the MCO was supposed to last 12 May, but the government announced semua ni lah. Okay, sampai lah. Alamak. Did you see the blue screen?
Actually, it wasn't that clear because it's all blue. Maybe we could.
All blue. Okay.
To
All right.
our-
So right. So I'm already coming to conclusion already. Okay. All right. So the conclusion of this this lecture today is that it was rational that the MCO should continue until June 2020, but now we have another round of MCO in June. Means 1 year to 1 year. The situation has deteriorated and we have more numbers. We have no choice. Okay, so that time, June 2020 was this number, and now we have more than this. Okay, and then this will wipe out the economic success that achieved for last year. Malaysia has a very good economic percentage, right? Even our economy is very sustainable. Sangat steady. Bila jadi COVID, all gone. We have to spend everything that we have kept for. Semua bond kena bawa keluar. Okay, alright. There was a business concern of ni SOP ni. Ini yang paling penting, alright? Because in Malaysia we do not have disaster law. That's one thing is missing in Malaysia. Like Indonesia, you after the tsunami you came up with disaster law and you have Badan Penanggulangan Bencana and all that, right? In Malaysia kita tak ada. Okay, sebab Malaysia dia tak ada bencana natural disaster. No, natural disaster dia flood lah, monsoon flood, flash flood tu je. So we don't concern about disaster law. Tapi bila kena COVID-19, bila datang pandemic COVID-19, oh, okay, this is beyond our control. The MKN 2.0 cannot actually do this policies and frameworks. Okay, recently that was in last year, December. It's a 750,000 ringgit grant from the Ministry of Education. Okay, to come up with the policy and also coordination framework to handle disaster in Kuala Lumpur specifically. Okay, so yes, we are still relying on this standard operation SOPs. Now and then we have new SOPs, okay, which is a weakness actually. So if we have a disaster law, which is a very legitimate law, okay, so everything will be beautifully covered. Okay, so the MCO, okay, after MCO we came with MCO, but then the number spiked up, okay, and then we got no choice, kena pergi balik ke MCO, right? So in August 2020, yes, Sabah state election, okay, this bring the third wave. Ni lah variant dia, kawan-kawan dia, the new one, okay. The thing is with these variants, if you vaccination tu dapat Pfizer is a single variant bacteria. Ni orang sains, orang biologi tahu kan? Okay, dia tak boleh nak varian-varian lain. Kalau AstraZeneca and Sinopharm, yes, dia boleh fight. Okay, so the first round in Malaysia was Pfizer, and then later came this variant. This is the results. Now we have 5,000 numbers. And death on average in Malaysia is about 60 people a day, which is quite high for a small population like us. Okay, so this leads to the state of emergency in October, and until today, the government is still considering to actually lift off this emergency, because bila emergency, Parliament tak boleh bersidang. All the politicians is actually making a lot of noise, and they wanted the Parliament to actually adjourn. And then they wanted an election. Okay, so yes, it's balance between security, human security, and also politics. Okay, so this MCO was supposed to last 4 weeks, which ends on Monday, but 28th of June. But I presume, as a strategic scholar, it will actually continue for another 2 weeks until before Raya Haji. Hopefully, we can go home for Raya Haji. Balik kampung. Okay, all right. And the vaccination program, okay, placed early 2021, and June vaccination is made available for public. So this month should cover 40% of the public. Okay, so what can we learn? So Malaysia adopt comprehensive security whereby anything that poses threat to the state is considered as national security matters. Okay, so it's a very complex issue to discuss between COVID-19 and between balancing, because a state, okay, has a big responsibility. When you give the legitimacy through voting to a state, state has to provide economic, should provide socio-economic, should provide development, should ensure you have job. Yes, this is the responsibility of the state. Okay, so it's a huge responsibility. So it's between balancing this and also to look after the people. Nanti kalau tak bagi bantuan, dia kata kerajaan tak jaga rakyat, kan? So issue dia banyak kat sini, is very complex. Okay. So the COVID-19 is an NTS threat, I guess, because it falls under pandemic now. Okay, so Malaysia should actually patut consider this and also include this under the disaster law there. Okay, Malaysia was not 100% prepared to handle, but somehow managing to balance between interests of the state, people, and interest group and media. So we have to understand in a policy making process. I'm not expert in policy, but my field is policy. So this is the reason why I was given the task to do policy urban disaster management in Kuala Lumpur. So yes, to create a policy, you need to consider interest group, you need to consider media, you have to consider the public opinion, you have to consider the government interests. These are the four main entities that stand in government's way in deciding any decision that coming from the people. So the only country in the world that has highest public opinion affecting their public policy or their domestic policy is United States. So United States people can actually say, okay, I don't want this person to be in office. Bukan saya punya politician duduk situ, bukan. Turun, naik orang lain, yes. US can do that, but not all the country in the world, bukan semua negara di dunia. Okay, so it's about balancing between all this, okay? All right. So this shows that the nature of threat is inclining toward NTS rather than military or traditional threat. And what matters today is that to define security based on threat, and also it's the best to actually measure and coordinate all available resources and agencies to curb the current situation. Okay, with that, I rest my case. I give it back to the moderator, Ms. Arifa. She can take over for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nurhazlina, for the extraordinary and enlightening presentation. But before we move further to our Q&A session, I would like to conclude some of your presentation before. So first is the definition model of security in every nation is different because every country, every nation is really different and has a different culture, people, and of course the purpose of the nation also. And then human security and state security must go together, and Malaysia government itself retain the primary responsibility for ensuring survival, livelihood, and dignity of their people and population. And the last one is about COVID-19, which is really impacting a lot of sector, not only in Malaysia maybe, but also in Indonesia. And Malaysia has a lot of programs such as Prihatin Stimulus Package, Bantuan Prihatin Nasional, and Employment Detention Program, also which subsidy program to help their people. But just for information, in Indonesia also we have some kind of Prihatin Stimulus Package also, but we call it Bantuan Sosial or Bansos in Indonesia. So if it is in Malaysia, it's in money, right? But in Indonesia, it's the government give the people, staff, and staple like oil, milk, rice, like every month to every family in each province in Indonesia. But after a year of COVID-19 pandemic, the government changed it from stuff and staple into money. So every family got for about $41. Yeah, it's about 600,000 rupiah actually. Every family in Indonesia got that, but especially the government specialized it for poor people like that. So Yeah, I think that's a little conclusion from me. Let's move to our Q&A session. So we actually I already received several names of students that wanna ask some questions.
Yes, there was I think about 8 questions. Yeah.
Yeah, each question is actually already written in the chat box. So for the first session, I will so in our Q&A session, I will divide it into a few sessions. Like in first session, there will be 3 questions, and then Dr. Hazina answer it, and then every session we will discuss about 3 questions, and also until the end of our Q&A session. Right? So for our first question session, there's question from Mr. Sunarto Randa. Hello, Mr. Sunarto. You may ask your question directly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rifa, as a moderator. Dr. Nur Haslina. My question is about one of the human securities issues is health security, which is the COVID-19 pandemic. In addressing the market and avoiding market failures during this pandemic, how can Malaysia save the people's purchasing power for the market economy? And if the Prihatin Rakyat program is one of them, how much change has made and how powerful is this project? Okay, I think it's enough. My question.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Sunarto. And for, or maybe Dr. Hazila, you want to answer it, or you want to collect the 3 questions first, or you want
I can actually go one by one. It's easier.
Oh, you prefer one by one. Okay. So the first question, you may answer it from Mr. Sunarto.
Thank you, Mr. Sunarto. Your question is very interesting. So how powerful is this program? Okay. Actually, for the B40 or the lowest income people, okay, who has been receiving BSH, Bantuan Sara Hidup. Bantuan Sara Hidup is being implemented since the premiership of Datuk Sri Najib. So it's been quite some time. Okay, so it's that. On top of that, they get Bantuan Prihatin, BPN. So they get 2 actually. So this is the question now. We shouldn't have actually gone to BPN, but rather should have just focused on enhancing BSH for the B40 and let M40 and T20 survive on their own. I belong to T20. Okay, so not so T20, but in the midst of T20 to M40. Okay, so yes, how powerful is this? Okay, in Malaysia, okay, the biggest population is Malay, followed by Chinese and also Indian and other races. So in the Malays, okay, is the biggest or the highest number of public servant. So public servant in Malaysia is the highest buying power in Malaysia. We generate the economy. All right. So yes, it's just that with this BPN, okay, BPN actually is just to inject more, okay. But the buying power, maybe we cannot go shopping, okay, we cannot go to the mall, but we should do online shopping. But the online shopping has been happening even before COVID-19, okay. If you ask me, like myself, I have 2 young kids, very young kids, 5 and 6. I cannot take them to go shopping. Not even during COVID. Before COVID pun sama, tak boleh. Bawa diorang ni tak boleh keluar. Okay, boleh pergi kedai mini market depan rumah je. Okay, so yes, I shop online most of the time. So it doesn't make any difference to me, COVID or no COVID. Yes. Okay, so the buying power actually relies on the civil servant in Malaysia. So civil servant in Malaysia still was not affected by COVID-19. They still pay, but the problem is that we still have to consider not all civil servant household have 2 partners working in civil servant kan. Mungkin satu tu kerja private, self-employment. So the household income has been affected, maybe 50%, we do not know. Okay, let's say the spouse has lost their business or they lost their being unemployed. So 50% is gone there. So the higher burden is on the public servant. So this is the reason why the government actually decided to give VPN to all. not only the the B40, but also M20 and also T20. Because in Malaysia, if you belong to T20, like myself, a lecturer again, T20. So you don't enjoy the government scholarship for your kids, sekolah asrama penuh, semua tak dapat. The government really focus on B40 and M40 akan dapat. Okay, so sama juga sekarang ni pun, actually BPN yang 3.0, 4.0 ni sebenarnya M20 dengan T20 dah tak dapat. For us, we don't get anymore, tak ada dah. They focus on B40s, but B40 is the most effective, and we need to enhance their income. So they focus on this, and how huge it is. Yes, even during COVID like this, we still manage to sustain our economy. Yes, so the government really believe when people have the buying, okay, the economy can be sustained. The productivity, the economic sustainability is there. Okay. And also the factories, actually some of the factories are running, 17 sectors are allowed to run during MCO 3.0. Okay, and these are the reason why the number are actually rising to 5,000, because you know, right, most of the factory worker is actually foreigner. They don't live in us like 4 in a house. No, they live like 20 people in one house. Okay, so yes, the COVID infection actually raises, and we as researchers, scholar in Malaysia, believe that the number is raising because of these factories now, because everybody's at home. Private, public servants are at home, lecturers are at home. I've been running lecture for 1 year already online. Yes, everything is happening online, but why the number keep raising? That's the big question now. So 5,000 a day with MCO. So what else can we do? So we are actually really hoping the vaccination will actually help. Okay, so I hope that answers your question slightly, Mr. Sunato. Or do you have more questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazlina. And Mr. Sunarto, maybe is there any more question, or is that enough?
Okay, thank you. I think it's very comprehensive answer from Dr. Nur Haslina. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Sunato. Okay, the second question.
Yes, the second question is from Mr. Dedi Susetio. Mr. Dedi, you may give your question orally.
Thank you, moderator, for the opportunity given to me. Good afternoon. Thank you for Dr. Nur Haslina for interesting the presentation. My name is Dedi. I'm a student of the Defense Management Study Program. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused unemployment even wider, not to mention technological advance and global liberalization have made the socio-economic gap even bigger. This is exacerbated by the lack of people's competence in the current era of openness. Then how does Malaysia deal with this? Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
This is a very difficult question to answer, actually, Mr. Dedi. Okay, I'll try my best. Okay, so yes, there was an issue. Okay, because most of us, okay, we are confined to one profession. So when our profession is affected, we do not know what to do. Okay, but I must say that you have to be creative. Even before COVID, you have to think of some backup plan for yourself. This is normal in the day-to-day. You have your own small businesses running around. Okay, you have something for your backup, some investment, for example, right? So yes, I also was a bit curious actually, because I see before COVID-19, even my students, okay, most of them are engineers and so on. So they are making a lot of money working with the private sector. Start buying 3 houses, okay, and then when that actually struggle, especially those working with private. Okay, so coming back to the people competence, okay, how do we actually generate it? So basically today what I'm seeing in Malaysia is that most people are going by skill. It's not about knowledge anymore. It's about skill. How are you going to survive? It's not about how much saving you have. It's about how are you going to double that saving during this COVID-19. How are you going to ensure you don't deplete your saving? This is the big question. So actually, when the government give moratorium, it actually has helped a lot. Okay, because when you give moratorium means you don't have to pay your housing loan, you don't have to pay your car loan, you don't even have to pay your personal loans. You only have to pay credit card. Only credit cards was not given any moratorium in Malaysia. So we were thinking that we actually try to educate the Malaysian community to actually save this amount rather than spending it because you have extra. You know, a human being is normal. When you have extra, you feel you must spend. Okay, so we try to educate the community to actually save this amount and then keep it. We do not know after 6 months what's going to happen because we didn't know last year June that we're going to have this June full MCO. See, so things are unpredictable. So the Malaysian community actually is learning. Okay, and I am seeing a lot of people are very creative, from civil engineer becoming a very famous entrepreneurship. Yes, in Malaysia. Okay, so in Malaysia, I would see the number, the openness, the people's competence, 30 to 40%. Yes, they're actually surviving. They're actually trying different things to survive. Yes, but the rest still like. But in Malaysia, the B40 is the biggest portion. The middle income group. So they are actually being supported a lot by the government even before. Who actually have to think to survive is actually those in M40 and T20 who has own businesses, big sum of being employed. Means you have higher income. For us to actually to focus more on skill base. I can give you a good example of one country in the world, okay, that used a skill base, which is Germany. Okay, in Germany the unemployment is zero, inflation is zero. You know why? Because they in Germany you don't have to pay a penny to study. Master, PhD, S1, S2, S3, all free. Okay, so education in Germany is free, and then they go. Degree doesn't matter. Degree doesn't have value, so they go for skill based. So when you actually train your people with skill means like you rather than giving people the fish, you teach them how to fish. Yes, this is what skill based economy. So yes, we are moving toward that, but then we have a lot of planning. We have to make sure that the number comes down first, then only our economic experts can think of the skill-based economy. Yes, I think most countries should focus on skill-based economy for COVID-19. It's more important actually. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Mr. Devi.
I think it's clear for me. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Devi. And the third question.
Yes, third question from Reni Apriliani. Reni, please.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Thank you, Dr. Nurul Haslina. My name is Rani. I want to ask question. Is all Malaysia add to its people channel in the form of first money? Is it effective compared to other alternative allocation such as educational scholarship and people credit dispensation rather than first money? Thank you.
Okay. So your questions were asking whether cash-based assistance or non-cash-based assistance. Ini semua term-term yang saya belajar di Aceh masa buat research. I came up with this term in my thesis. Okay, so yes, there is a weaknesses with this cash-based assistance and everywhere in the world, not only in Malaysia. Okay, yes, it is a problem. Okay, because when you when you give them cash, okay, those who really need the cash will utilize it to maximum. Means they will be very, no, they will spend it to their need. But there are some people that think that when you have this extra cash, like BPN, dia ada extra cash, kan, masa tu lah nak tukar langsir, nak tukar kereta. Okay, but the government also doing their part. Okay, in Malaysia, okay, this has been happening for the last 6 or 8 months. Government bagi banyak interest, cut on interest. If you buy new car, tak payah bayar 6 bulan, 8 bulan tak payah bayar duit kereta. So yes, in Malaysia actually, I would say if you are actually giving this cash-based assistance to the lower income, be good. In to assist them. Okay, maybe moratorium is already good enough. Actually, for those in T20 and M20, moratorium is good enough already, because these are the people who are in 2-3 houses, buying 2-3 cars. Okay, so they will actually benefit from the moratorium. Okay, and non-cash based assistance in Malaysia, there is the government actually have this one card, okay, a subsidy card given to certain community, certain amount, certain number of people in the community with certain range of income, so they can actually go and use this as a voucher, like a sample, like a voucher to buy their grocery and so on in the shop, but they don't have to pay. I think. But that was only a one-off kind of thing through cards. But most of the assistance in Malaysia actually is actually cash-based assistance. Okay, if you ask me, is it good or is it bad? I think it depends. I mean, you really need to look into the condition of the people. But in COVID-19, right, everything is limited. You can't even visit the people to actually observe what they're doing, right? Like when I was in Aceh, I was very lucky to look at this. Okay, I was studying this. Okay, so what happened to the fishermen in Aceh? When you give them a boat, okay, the boat will the price of this boat is 1 to 2 million. Okay, but it has to be shared by 10 people. So when this happened, okay, this is a non-cash based assistance. Kita bagi dia boat, kan? Sebab dia fisherman, kita bagi dia boat. So what will happen is that in Aceh, people, they do not like to share. So see, you didn't study the community. The community doesn't like to share. Okay, so when I was studying them, I said it's not their fault. You should have thought, ask them what they want. Do you want a boat by yourself? You want one boat by yourself? I will give you one boat. You shouldn't have been giving them big boat, a very complicated boat, but then eventually they just sell that. You know what happened? 10 people get one boat. Eventually, only one person handle that one boat. The 9 of them actually sell their portion to one person. So how did actually encourage enhance the socio-economic activities? No, it fails. Okay, so for me, yes, COVID-19 actually. We have gap. We cannot actually reach the community to really study what is happening, because this is not normal. Okay, but once we actually come out of this COVID-19, maybe we should put a study, a research, how people has actually utilized the money. Is it good to give them a cash-based assistance, or is it good to give them a non-cash-based assistance? And another case in Aceh, I must share with you. Okay, there is a cash-based assistance. Ini lagi best cerita dia. They give the money, Mercy Corp, saya pergi dengan NGO semua. Okay. Mercy Corp bagi duit, tapi duit tu dia tak guna untuk buat bisnes. Dia beli motor, dia beli kereta. So both ada pro and cons. So coming to Malaysia punya case, I think so far I think people are actually utilizing the cash-based assistance, because the government think people should be civil enough to think what is the best for you. You nak simpan ke duit tu, you nak spend ke, what you going to do is your choice. Bila you susah nanti, you jangan datang cakap dengan government, you didn't give me assistance. No, the moratorium has been going on for almost a year now. which is a government effort to help the people. Kan? We are already in place to help, but how you manage yourself is a personal finance. Dr. Hafiza is giving on the talk on personal finance this afternoon on bagian economic instability. Yes, maybe you can ask your friends what she shared today. How to manage your personal finances during COVID-19 in Malaysia. Case study. Okay, I hope that answered your questions, Mr. Reni.
Actually, Dr. Haslina, Reni also asked about a scholarship. Is there any special educational scholarship in Malaysia regarding the COVID-19? Because in Indonesia we have some kind of scholarship special. We call it KJP plus specialized in affirmasi way. So it's for children whose their parent lost because of COVID, or maybe their parents work as health worker. So maybe is there any educational scholarship about that?
Okay, in Malaysia, the school, sekolah tak ada yuran. For everybody in Malaysia tak ada yuran. So we don't have to come up with any special scholarship. But Satu Malaysia, ni dah bulan 6 kan? Tak ada yuran. We don't pay any, the government actually gives subsidy to all people in Malaysia regardless of, for all the public school, we were given equal allocation of no, belum ada bayaran yuran ke sekolah. So this is the one thing they do. And also for those affected, yang mana, because learning today are actually requiring gadget, betul. So bukan semua orang ada kemampuan nak ada gadget. So what is the government is doing that? Government ni boleh cakap pandai juga lah. What they do is that they encourage public companies, to actually go out there and give out these gadgets to these less fortunate people. So that in return, these companies actually get tax return.
Also, there's collaboration between the government and the
public, and the private. So this fall under the corporate social responsibility under CSR. When you do CSR in Malaysia, you dapat pengecualian cukai. So the government is very good at this. Even during masa we do not have enough mask, kita tak ada PPE kan, kita tak cukup. Okay, we pull this private company to contribute, and in return we give you the tax exemption. Yes, still happening. Still happening. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hazrina and Reni. Is that enough?
I think it's clear. Thank you, Dr. Nur Haslina.
All right, thank you. We have next Khairina Rahayu.
From Siti Khairina Rahayu.
This is my student. Is that? No.
Oh, no, it's actually from.
This is very rare name. It looks like a Malaysian name.
Yeah. And Siti Rahayu, please.
That was my student. Okay, all right.
Thank you, Moderator Ms. Riva. Thank you for the opportunities. My name is Siti Khairina Rahayu from Defense Management Study Program. Good afternoon, Ms. Dr. Nur Haslina Fairuz Musakuti and everyone. So, as we know, the COVID-19 pandemic has paralyzed all life activities in the world. Almost all sectors have felt the impact of the pandemic, including the economic sector. Various drastic changes in the socio-economic life of the community have changed the buying and selling interaction in the market. Some industries experienced a deep downturn. Others benefited from the disaster, but overall, the economy has contracted. My question is it for addressing market and preventing state failure, private sector and Malaysian state hand in hand considering this huge pandemic is happening globally? So, what steps or strategies has the government taken with the private sector to revive the market economy in Malaysia in this pandemic condition? Thank you, Ms.
Right. Thank you for your question. Okay, Karina was asking what is the measurement from or strategy from the government to actually incorporate the private sector to revive the economy. Okay, actually, this has been done in many sectors, as I was explaining earlier. First was when we first couldn't even import any mask to Malaysia, tak ada mask in Malaysia, yes. And then we bring in all this diet sector in Malaysia to actually contribute. That was one. And second things that I can think of when the government wanted to revive the market economy in Malaysia is that I'll give you an example on the automotive car creator. Okay, so the government move, okay, to actually give you tax exemption, and also the bank agree not to actually to give you this moratorium. New car moratorium for 6 or 8 months was a very strategic move, a combination of private and the government to actually enhance the economy, to revive the economy. Okay, and another thing I can think of is that under the MKN 2.0 or the NADMA in Malaysia, like Badan Penanggulangan Bencana di Indonesia, kita ada NADMA, kita kecil je, NADMA, National Agency for Disaster Management in Malaysia, kecil je dia. Okay, so under NADMA is a coordinator. So we bring in all this private NGO, semua sector. So we consult the assistant, and then we start giving to people. Okay, this is what has been done in Malaysia. So Malaysia is a very small country. Okay, so basically what goes around actually comes to us very fast. So yeah, even the celebrity went out to actually give their side of it. Okay, when we do not have enough PPE, you know, the suit. Okay, the designers actually sponsored PPE suits that designed by them, produced by them, and given contributed to the hospitals. So this is how it works in Malaysia. Yes, the interest group has stake in the government. The government has to be stable for the interest group to survive. So in order to do that, the interest group is willing to actually give to the government. So if during normal election, the government receive fund from this interest group, but during this COVID-19, we are actually receiving fund or receiving help from the cooperation with these private sectors to actually revive the economy, and also at the same time to ensure the survivability of this interest group. Because interest group, they rely on economy tak jalan, dia orang pun tak jalan. That's the best part today. So during MCO 3.0, the government decided to let go 17 sektor perkilangan dibenarkan berjalan. MCO pertama semua tak jalan. Ada kereta tau dekat jalan, dekat Malaysia, dekat Kuala Lumpur ni. MCO pertama. MCO 3 banyak kereta, because we have to open up bit by bit, because if we close everything, satu, it will not revive the economy. Second, it will kill this interest group. One, because interest group in economic development. So in a condition of COVID-19, you must let them survive so that they can actually help you revive the economy and actually benefit the people. So it's a very difficult decision to actually become a government actually. Bukan kerja senang kan? Okay. Hope that you have any more.
Thank you, Miss, for the comprehensive answer. I think it's enough to me. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Karina.
Right, thank you very much. So we move to our next question from Ulfia Nur Hasanah, also a student from Defense Management Faculty. Ulfia? Yes?
Excuse me? I'm sorry.
Oh, Ulfia, is there technical difficulties?
I can just read from the chat.
Yeah, maybe I will read it for you, the question from Ulfia.
I'm sorry, Miss, any noise here?
Okay.
My name is Ulfiana. My question is disparities in economic opportunities plus other threats, especially transnational crimes. For example, trafficking. This crime is a threat to human security, which is injury human rights. The existence of poverty actually weakens the position of human life. According to International Organization for Migration annual reports, Malaysia is a favorite destination for human trafficking syndicates to send victims, especially victims from Malaysia, Indonesia, and Laos. So, how does Malaysia deal with this? Thank you.
Okay. Do you want me to answer this during COVID-19 or do you want me to answer it on normal days? Olivia?
Olivia, is that in COVID or maybe both?
No, both. Oh, it's going to be a long answer.
In a normal era and in the COVID-19 era, is there any differences maybe?
All right. So, yes, TOC, transnational crimes. Okay. Transnational crimes.
Sorry, moderator.
Hello?
Hello, Ulfia. Oh, maybe another technical difficulties.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we shall continue. Okay, so
I'm sorry, my bad here. Sorry.
Okay. Hello, Ulfia. Could you hear my voice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want me to answer this in COVID-19 situation or normal situation?
In COVID-19 situation.
Oh.
Good. Because if it's both, then I can give you another lecture. Because this is our baby in strategic study, transnational organized crime. Okay, so first TOC. There are 12 categories of TOC. So human trafficking, drug trafficking, they are all related. So if you have drug trafficking, usually there's a human trafficking. Okay, so all this because of economic disparities. Yes, I agree with you because it means when you are doing this kind of activities, you generate big income. Okay, this is why people actually involved in trafficking. Okay, so during COVID-19, okay, what the government did was to actually to tighten up our borders. So because in the beginning of COVID-19, there was a lot of issues of foreigners working in Malaysia, Bangladesh, Indonesia, and many others. Okay, they are the main cause of the spreading of the virus. So that was the main issue in the beginning of COVID-19 last year. So what the government did was to actually enhance our navy, okay, to actually look after our border. So maksudnya the navy patrol was on more heightened alert. Okay, so that's what we did, and then we start to look at this in jalan-jalan tikus. Actually, this human trafficking, drug trafficking, datang dekat jalan tikus, jalan yang nobody knows the road actually exists. Jalan tikus, jalan-jalan yang kecil-kecil. Okay, so that was one from the government. They tried to actually heighten up the patrols in especially on the border areas to these countries, Indonesia, Thailand, semua ni. Okay, and Malaysia uniquely. Okay, we have Straits of Malacca. We have issue of piracy there. We also have issue of trafficking there. Okay, and border of Thailand, we are neighboring to the Golden Triangle. We live in the Golden Triangle, so drug trafficking is there. Human trafficking also is there. Okay, so Malaysian border security is one big issue actually for us. So what we did during COVID-19 was to actually heighten up this because we wanted to make sure if we are actually closing our border and ensuring there is no movement in and out of the country to control the pandemic, we also must make sure all these jalan tikus, all this illegal route was also controlled by the government. So we stop everything. We send back all immigrant coming. We start doing this because It's no more talking about like what Commander Nick said 2 days ago, friendly neighbours kita suruh dia balik kan. Tapi sekarang kita memang tak nak because we do not know who carry this virus. It could be one of us, it could be a foreigner, we do not know. But I must say, the government did very well, okay, managing this, the immigrant who was locked up in this country masa COVID-19 mula, okay. We didn't send them back, kita tak hantar balik kan, kita jaga. There was a big question among the public in Malaysia, okay, why don't we send back? Because the government has to think twice. Because these people actually help you generate the economy. You can actually send them back. Okay? Takkanlah masa dia bagi you good economic income, you jaga dia, tapi bila dia dalam keadaan lockdown, you hantar dia balik. No. You have to think for long term. So the government look after the NGOs, with the consortium with the NGOs, and then we look after. So what we did was that we contain them, we lock down, we look after them, but those coming, new one coming, no. We really dekat border kita betul-betul jaga. But that is not a question, that is not an answer to these ongoing human trafficking going on in Malaysia. Okay, we have many issue actually. Okay, banyak issue. Dia trafficking ni ada 2 jenis. Satu trafficking secara paksa, satu trafficking secara rela. So we have many categories of trafficking actually. So if you dump it under human trafficking, we cannot simply say it's done because of they want it or not. Sometimes the economic disparities was the reason they do this kan. Okay, so I must say in Malaysia we managed to control this. Like it or not, once you lockdown lah, habislah, tutup semua. Nobody can come in. No, dekat airport Kuala Lumpur tu sunyi yang masuk kapal kargo je. Itu pun rakyat marah. Kenapa ada kapal masuk? My husband ada company dekat cargo airport Malaysia. So my husband said, no, that's cargo from India, cargo ship, bukannya passenger ship. So yes, we control about it. So yes, we manage, and also our navy is on full-fledged, especially looking after this coastal area, coastal routes that bring in all this the smuggling activities. And some are actually still out of hand. As a developing country, kita pun ada isu ni. Sebab jalan-jalan tikus ni bukan senang kita nak jaga, sebab dia human trafficking is a chain. You must putuskan chain tu. How do you actually break the chain? That is the big question. Because that's why I said, if you have human trafficking, definitely you won't have drug trafficking. You can add different TOCs related to this. It's not only one thing. So yes, as you said, it's actually related to human security. And for us to actually curb this issue is going to take us big effort to actually cut the chain. Kat mana kita nak putuskan talian rantai ni? Sebab dia cartel lah. Trafficking is about cartel. The Chinese cartel, the Spanish cartel, the Vietnam cartel, semua cartel. The Myanmar cartel, kita ada banyak. So you have to know satu lagi, Malaysia, sorry, not in Malaysia, Southeast Asia, okay, is the hotspot for terrorist activities and TOCs activities. If you look at the map, the paling the region is all red, paling merah sebab kita ada banyak issue TOCs and also terrorist issues, especially in the Philippines. Our friend, Philippines tu banyak issue terrorism, biggest terrorist organization in Southeast Asia, paling besar. Okay, so yes, the heart of the problem is in Southeast Asia. For us to solve the problem, it must go through all the way to regional organization. Bantuan daripada regional organization like ASEAN can manage better.
For Ulfia. Okay, let's Ulfia. Is that clear? Actually, it's already clear, I guess. So let's move to our next question from Uli Ngesi Pratiwi. Miss Uli, please, for the question.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Tiwi from Defense Management Study Program. I have a question about this topic. inequality, socioeconomic poverty is currently proven not only to come from the neoliberal system, but also from global disaster, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. And this, it is not impossible that it will lead to a more massive potential for environmental exploitation as a fulfillment of needs. Meanwhile, environmental security is also an aspect of human security. And then, how is the portrait in Malaysia and adjustments to the realization of the SDGs, especially goals number 12 and 13, which focusing on the environment? Thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you for your question. Very good question, actually. All right. So, coming to human security and environmental security, how do we actually balance with sustainable development goal, okay, on environment? Okay. The main issue is here is that always raised by developing countries that if this idea of sustainable development is being championed by this developed country, okay, because they have reached to the level they have nothing to exploit. They are actually running on sustainable resources, okay, so they do not have much resources to exploit. Okay. Most of us in developing country, we have these resources, and the question is that why can't we exploit to develop? Can, okay. For example, the carbon emission. Okay, the developed country says, okay, the carbon emission is high, so we should control our carbon emission. So, country like Australia, they have carbon tax, whereby if you the tax is reduced based on the amount of carbon that you emit to the environment. So we have carbon tax in Australia. So this is developed countries stories. But in developing countries, we do not have such a thing. Okay. So the issue here is that how do we actually develop sustainability? How do we actually have sustainable development? How do we actually balance between looking after environment and also developing at the same time? And why are we actually carrying this burden for the whole world? Itu soalan dia. Okay, so coming back to the question of sustainable development in Malaysia, okay, so we are trying our best, like what I lectured you on water security the other day. Okay, focusing on water as a resources. How do we be sustainable? Yeah? So the thing is, we do have resources. Resources is enough. The disruption or the water problem raised up because of lack of awareness, and also at the same time lack of enforcement. The law enforcement. If your law enforcement is strong, you can actually stop a lot of problems from happening. Actually, I believe in that. Okay. And also at the same time, there's a lot of gray areas going on when you talk about sustainable development. Okay, is between exploiting your resources and also make sure you are actually you are actually sustaining that development. The development must go on, and also at the same time you have to secure the environment. Which one is more important? Okay, you have to decide. Okay, so in Malaysia, okay. If there is an issue of deforestation, I can give you an example. This issue was raised up during COVID-19. Okay, this actually happened in Pahang, okay, around Pahang. There was a Musang King plantation. You know the durian, Musang King? It's a very delicious durian and it's very expensive. Okay, all right. This Musang King plantation happened in Rao, Pahang, which is a state I came from. I was born in Rao. Okay. So, Rock is a very hilly area, a lot of water catchment, a lot of resources. Okay, so when this happened in Pahang, so the issue was interconnected. So the community in Rock Pahang started with no water. There's always a water disruption. So when the water disruption happened, so the issue was actually related to the deforestation process. So what happened? From one deforestation activity, 100 acres of forest was cut off for this plantation of Musang King. And you know what happened? The Musangking plantation that was there in Raub, the Sungai Ruan, Sungai Klau, okay, this is the heart of durian plantation in Raub. You want to eat cheap durian, you go to this place, okay? So, this Musangking plantation, 40 years old, okay, the government, you know what the government did? The government actually take over, because this is tanah haram. Dia terus ke tanah haram, tanam durian 40 years, okay? Ada kilang Musangking lagi, export ke China. Musangking, okay, is as cheap as not more than 20 ringgit per kilo dulu. Sekarang 50 ringgit because why? The scarcity of the supply. Musangking sekarang pergi masuk kilang, export keluar. So the dulu durian kalau you go to my village dekat Rauk tu, sebelum sampai Lembah Kelau akan ada Sungai Ruan. So satu bakul durian ni 20 ringgit je tau. Sekarang dah tak ada sebab semua durian ni pergi ke kilang, dia ekspor keluar. So yes, they are all related. This is, I'm actually giving you an example of economy, interest, environment, okay, and also scarcity of resources. Semua sekali. Okay, this is a good example actually to actually explain to you how do we actually have sustainable development. So to teach, to actually educate the people, you know what the government did? The government take over this land. Ambil balik sebab tanah haram. You explore tanah haram for 40 years and you have benefited from this land. Now the government is actually taking back, and they run to the court. They even marah dengan kita punya agung, kita punya king, dia marah king kita. Dia sampai nak saman king kita. Okay, so yes, in Malaysia the races, race punya right tu sangat-sangat betul, Chinese, Malay, Indian. So yes, but the case is still pending. The government actually has decided the people has to give back, kena bagi balik, because it's tanah haram. Okay, kena bagi balik, and this land will be given to the to people who more deserve it, who, you know, ex-army, ex-police, those who have served the country should be given all this land too. So dibagi tanah ni kepada so this is what is happening. So coming back to your question, okay, I hope it give you a rough idea, okay, how we manage in Malaysia. Kat sini kalau kata haram lah, kalau ada impact on environment, ada impact deforestation sampai tak ada air, water destruction and all that, means it's something serious to actually for the government to look upon. So we usually will take this kind of actions. So it might not relate directly to the SDG, but yes, for now, that's one case I can actually share with you. That was been happening 1 year ago. Yes.
Yeah, it's a quite hard problem actually to managing all the environmental, economic, and also our nation's security. Actually, actually, we still have a lot of questions, but we have a little time, and we already come to an end of our session. Maybe for the other question, can I email you for those questions?
Yeah, so the three questions from Herda,
from Mr. Tri and Miss Ice. Maybe maybe later I will email you for the unanswered question. Okay, because because the time actually we still want to talk to you about. So sad about it. Okay, so once again, I would like to give a big gratitude to our speaker today, Dr. Nur Hazlina, for the wonderful presentation and material. And also thank you for all the participants for joining today's session. And I really hope that we're able to meet again next time in better time.
Bako. The lecture of Defense Management Studi Program Laksmat TNI Purna Dr. Gigi Nora Leliana MH plus FICD to give the certificate virtually to the speaker and moderator. The committee will take a picture.
Thank you so much. Our appreciation and gratitude to Dr. Nur Hazlina. We have the same name, Nora.
Oh, Nora.
Yeah. It's a great.
Inshallah, if I come to Unhan, I would like to meet all of you. Inshallah.
Okay, yeah, I guess. It's a very great presentation and discussion. So we can understand about the Malaysian experience in balancing human security and economic and state interests. May all the information you give to us in this session be useful for all of us. To express our gratitude upon the speaker and moderator in the session, I am Nora Liliana. On behalf of the Secretary of Defense Management Study Program, Dean Faculty of Defense Management of the Republic of Indonesia Defense University, will award certificate of appreciation to Dr. Please accept this certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let us give a round of applause to Dr. Nur Haslina Fairuz Musakuti.
Thank you for your participation.
And the second, okay, thank you. And the second certificate is awarded to the moderator, Rifa Mutiara Bako. Please accept, Rifa.
Thank you very much.
Let us give a round of applause to Rifa Mutiara Bako.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for all the session, and it's very great presentation and discussion. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hope to see you again. Assalamualaikum.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Before closing session, please allow us to have a photo session for documentation of today's agenda. For all the participation, please turn on your camera. For all the participation, please post salam bela negara to the camera. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Salam bela negara. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Salam bela negara. Once again, we would like to thank the speaker who have given the knowledge and experience to all of us. By all the knowledge we have gained be useful for us. The honorable participant, we have now to come the end of our second session, the overseas study today. May I thank you very much for your participation. On behalf of the organizer, we would like to apologize for all mistakes during the session. We want to remind all participants that have the next agenda to tomorrow, June 25, 1991, will begin at 9 a.m. We do hope all participants to join 15 minutes before the session. We would like also remind for us to always implementing health protocol by washing your hand, wear your mask, and keep your distance. Thank you. Till we meet again, perhaps in the next agenda, may all you have a good holiday. Let us closing the session by saying hamdalah, alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om. Namo Buddhaya. Salam kebajikan. Salam bela negara.
Salam bela negara.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nur Haslina. And maybe I would like to ask your email address to email the unanswered question.
Can I type it at the chat box here?
Oh yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay, all right.
Because actually there are still a few questions, but
I think about 3-4
by our
questions.
time, so I will write it down and email it to you. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Nur Haslina.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you for the moderator, to the MC, to Gunola. Okay, hope I can meet you all when I come to Unhan, or maybe you can visit IPNM, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Bu Nora.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih banyak.
Sama-sama. Semoga semuanya sehat.
Amin.
Ini saya karena di kantor jadi mesti pakai masker.
Iya, Bu.
Oh iya, the same.
This is for me, yeah? I simpan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I could give you the screenshot of today.
That'd be lovely.
In the email. I could send
Yes.
it to you.
Or you want my phone number? I can give it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
I can just type it here. It's easier.
Okay. All right. I could send you by WhatsApp. Maybe you have a WhatsApp account.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Oh. Thank you very much, Dr. Nurhazlina. Maybe it's almost Maghrib in Malaysia. Is that?
No, this is Asar.
Oh, Asar. I thought that it's almost 5 o'clock actually. No.
No, it's 4:30.
Oh, 4:30.
4:37, yes.
Okay, so maybe this is
very good session. Very nice to meet all of you. Inshallah, we will begin.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, please.
For all of the students of
Okay, Mr.
saya baru nak cakap Mas Adi langsung memasukkan join.
Iya, tadi Dr. Nurhazlina mau ngomong apa? Udah masuk breakout. Iya, tadi Dr. Nurhazlina kayaknya udah live tadi Dr. Nurhazlina-nya. Ya sudah lah. I will kontak her deh.
Pada langsung cabut. Enggak, tadi. Pak Denny kok tak ada? Mas nggak undang Pak Denny? Malah berkurang jadi 12. Langsung aja ya?
Mungkin Pak Denny
Gue belum balas WA Mr. Suresh nih, balas apa lagi, bingung ya Allah.
terserah sekarang Ubi. Kok Daris?
Ya, ada yang bisa dibantu?
Besok itu kan kegiatan sampai pukul 12.00 ya, dari jam 9. Terus untuk Friday prayer gimana ya buat yang di Malaysia? Kan udah jam 1 di sana. Gimana sih?
Waktu sholat kan?
Jadi mereka nanti sholat jam berapa? Apa enggak harus
kalau Malaysia yang bagian barat sama dengan kita, tapi kalau untuk Malaysia yang bagian timur sama dengan Ulfi.
Sampai jam berapa sih besok? By the way, waktu
12.00 Ulfi.
Oh iya, berarti jam 12.00 tahu ya?
12.00 saya.
Oh.
Soalnya Ulfi kan beda.
Ya jam 1 di sini berarti. Ini hampir udah sholat Jumat.
Terus gimana?
Biasanya 2 itu udah selesai sholat Jumatnya.
Saya tak ada info tentang itu. Mana tahu yang jadi pemateri sholat kan, tapi nanti saya konfirmasi sama
Pak Adi. Minta tolong komunikasikan sama Pak Ayu. Terima kasih.
Oke.
By the way, dong ada PPT baru nggak dari Bu Nurhazlina?
Nggak ada. Dari tadi minta sama Pak Sakum.
Beda lagi ya terus. PPT-nya ada tambahan kayaknya.
PPT apa?
Materi yang dikirimkan oleh pemateri memang pemateri terupdate. Mereka kayaknya ngirim materi terus memperbarui materi.
PPT besok
Biar
udah ada belum ya?
pengetahuan kita terbatas.
Zon banget. Guys, materi besok udah ada belum ya?
Udah kan aku kirim di grup KKLN. Kedengeran nggak suara saya?
Oh iya.
Sudah saya kirim tuh banyak banget materinya. Ada sampai 3 atau berapa file itu.
Oh iya benar yang dua bukan sih?
Iya. Pokoknya banyak di itu aku kirim. Kayak nggak cuma 1.
Ya. Kita sekali lagi mohon besok untuk besok mau dikoordinasikan lagi. Tolong, terima kasih.
Alright.
Kalau bisa malam ini dipastikan ya.
Apaan?
Terima kasih. Itu yang besok sholat hari Jumat.
KKLN.
Ini Meli belum bisa gabung, Cina. Gimana invite-nya?
Dilupakan Meli.
Gak paham saya.
Tuh kan aku sebel. Giliran Bu Nur Hazlina, WA balasnya lama banget. Giliran Mr. Suresh aja cepet bener, ya Allah, terus banyak banget. Ampun.
Oke, teman-teman sekalian, kita mulai evaluasi dan briefing pada sore hari ini. Terima kasih atas kesediaannya. Ada beberapa hal yang ingin saya sampaikan mengenai pelaksanaan seminar hari keempat